What's up, everybody? We're talking a little bit of Hall of Fame here. We just saw 7 guys get inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame the Saturday before the Super Bowl, and it got us thinking, what potential Hall of Famers played in Super Bowl 51? Well, I think there's a couple of obvious ones and a couple of guys that you could say are fringe players. To me, Tom Brady, it's obvious. Probably the greatest quarterback of all time, whether you put an asterisk there or not. I think the argument's always been between him and Joe Montana. Joe Montana was a first ballot Hall of Famer, walked right into the Hall of Fame. Tom Brady's going to do the same. Let's move on. Bill Belichick, same deal. You know, when you talk about the greatest coach of all time, everyone always says, as a head coach. And I get that Bill Belichick has had an amazing run as a head coach. But that's not the only thing that makes him a certifiable Hall of Famer. Do not forget his 2 Super Bowl rings in his 30s as defensive coordinator for the New York Giants. That's also on his resume. What a resume it is for that man.
And let's talk about Bob Kraft for a moment, because when you think of the people involved in Super Bowl 51, you start with Tom Brady and the players, then you go to Bill Belichick, but you can't forget the owner. And Bob Kraft has been integral to the success of the New England Patriots since taking over in the early to mid-90s. He's been huge for the NFL with the television committee, and I think his name will be called pretty soon. I think Pat Bowlen will be the next owner to go into the Hall of Fame, but Bob Kraft not too far behind.
Now, a guy that I would not say is a lock for most people, but I think Rob Gronkowski, right now, if he never plays it down again in pro football, is a Hall of Famer. He's played 7 years in the league, and you could say for 5 of those years that he was the best at his position. How many guys in NFL history can you say they were the best player at their position for at least 5 years? Jim Brown would be one. Maybe Jerry Rice. Maybe Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor. That's the kind of company we're talking about here. So Gronk has played so physical, and he's gotten hurt because of his style of play. I think if he retired right now, I don't think he stays out of the Hall of Fame. May not be first ballot, but he makes it. Okay, now a guy that's played a lot longer than Rob Gronkowski and played against him in a few games, Dwight Freeney. Dwight Freeney's getting pretty high on the all-time sack list. Right now he's at 122.5. That makes him 18th all-time. Now that may not wow you, but it's not that far a climb to get to the top 10. The guy 3 spots ahead of him only has 128. Here's the thing about Dwight Freeney. The guys around him on the sack list, and I have it right here, Robert Mathis, Simeon Rice, Clyde Simmons, great players, but they're a Hall of Very Gooders. Derek Thomas made it, but Derek Thomas only played 11 years, unfortunately passed away much too soon. And then you have Ricky Jackson, who's in the Hall of Fame, a few sacks ahead of Freeney. The Hall of Fame voters love sacks, I can tell you that. Look at Jason Taylor making it as a first ballot. But I think Dwight Freeney probably had to play another year and have another good year. Otherwise, I'd say he's 50-50. Julio Jones was a name presented to me by our producer, Sean Shoppy, and I told him he's crazy and this is too soon. But that said, I mean, the way the guy's going, think of the argument I used for Rob Gronkowski. Can you say that Julio Jones is the best wide receiver in the game? I think you can. It's arguable. You could say Antonio Brown as well. The one problem for Julio Jones is the way the passing numbers are. It's going to be harder and harder for these wide receivers with big numbers to get in the Hall of Fame. And Julio Jones has had some injury issues. He's going to have to stay healthy. Look, Terrell Owens has already had to wait 2 years. Granted, Julio Jones has been more of a team player, but wide receiver, tough deal in the future. We'll see how that goes. Okay, what about his distributor, Matt Ryan? Matt Ryan's played 9 years in the league. Well, that's a pretty throw right there, isn't it? It's too soon for this guy. That said, when you're an NFL MVP, that's automatic consideration right there. I mean, if Ken Stabler hadn't have been an NFL MVP, I don't think that he would have ended up making the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Ditto Kurt Warner. Of course, Kurt Warner had 2 MVPs. Now, there are some guys that have won MVP at quarterback that did not make the Hall of Fame. Boomer Esiason comes to mind. Ken Anderson, another Bengals quarterback, comes to mind. But most of your MVP quarterbacks end up in Canton. Matt Ryan also led the NFL in passing this season. Look, if he can keep it up and stay healthy, which he's done a great job of staying healthy, and the Falcons' offense stays intact with the young players they have, why not? But even after 9 years, quarterback is different. We're not looking at a running back's career where the window is shorter. I think Matt Ryan has a good shot. It's just going to take a lot more work.